मोरा जुगला किशोरा गाथिया माल तीर माला दिबोद हर गाले गाथिया माल तीर माला दिबोद हर गाले अधरे तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तंबूले अधरे तुलिया दिबो कर्पूर तंबूले राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा ललिता विशाखा जत सखी वृंदा ललिता विशाखादि जत सखी वृंदा अज्ञान कोरिबो सेवा चरणारविंदा अज्ञाय कोरिबो सेवा चरणारविंदा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासा श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु दासा सेवाभिलाषा कोरे नरोत्तम दासा सेवाभिलाषा कोरे नरोत्तम दासा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा जीवने मरणे गति और नाही मोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा राधा कृष्ण प्राण मोरा जुगला किशोरा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण माताजी श्री श्री राधा गोविंद की जय
Hare Krishna Mataji. What an amazing start, Mataji. You sing so beautifully. It's very nice kirtan. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Very
So
nice
let's begin with
kirtan.
our prayer.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा. Is my voice audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Yes,
Okay, thank you so much. So let's begin with by offering our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada. So we did half of first chapter previous week. So now we'll continue from where we stopped. Before we begin, summary. Chapter 1, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Okay. So introduction from 1 to 27, preparations for war. And then from 28 to 46 verses, Arjuna's doubts. So actually this is where we stopped. We were discussing signs of victory for the Pandavas. We did this slide. And then next, Arjuna asks Krishna to take the chariot to draw the chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Okay. Now what we have to understand is, actually Arjuna is anxious to see who are the leading people on the other side. Who are those people who are bent upon demanding this unwanted war? He didn't have any desire to fight. Because all the negotiations failed, they have come here to fight now. War was the last resort. So Prabhupada writes, war is inevitable when negotiations fail. And now what he's doing, he's giving instructions to Lord Krishna. Everywhere you see in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is addressed as Bhagavan. He's not saying he's giving instructions to his friend, charioteer, nothing like that. He's saying Bhagavan. Lord Krishna is saying, Arjuna requests infallible Lord to draw his chariot in the middle of the battlefield. We can never order God. We cannot say, God, do this for me, do that for me. We may take a list and say, no, please do this, do this. But we can never order, everything he will provide us, not because we are demanding or anything, based on our qualification. Do we deserve it? That's how it is. And here, he says, take the chariot in the middle of the battlefield, and Krishna takes it. He's a charioteer. Infallible means he never fails in his affection for his devotees. We can see many places he's carrying his father's footwear on his head, and then he carries, one incident, he carries even Draupadi's footwear is in his hand. It's like that. If the devotee is offering some service, the Lord is also ready to offer the service. It's like that. He reciprocates whatever we offer. Accordingly, he reciprocates. It depends on our surrender. So now, very easily, he takes great pleasure in offering, rendering some service to a pure devotee. That's what we should understand. Costless mercy. Serving is friend. We say God is like, Sutradhar. He is making us dance to his tunes. But we can see, if you read Krishna book, he's actually dancing to the gopis tunes. All the Brijavasis, all the people in Vrindavan are enjoying the pastimes with him. He's listening to them, hearing them, clapping. He's actually having such a nice time with them. Such an intimate relationship he has with all of them. So Krishna is like that. So let's continue. Arjuna requests infallible Lord to draw his chariot in the middle of the battlefield. Would somebody like to recite this verse? Hare Krishna.
Name Mataji.
Sure, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Arjuna uvacha senayorubayormadhye ratham stapaya mechuta yapadeta niriksheham yotukamanavasthitan kairmaya sahayo dhavyam asmin dranasamo.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, thank you, Prabhu. Arjuna wants to see who have come to fight, wishing to please Duryodhana. He does not have any intention of proposing peace negotiations now. Everything is over. They are ready to fight. He's just trying to estimate the strength of the people on the other side. That's all his intention right now. Let's see what happens next. Until now, everything was fine. Okay. Now, meaning of the word Achyuta. Achyuta means infallible. He is addressed so because the Lord never fails in affection for his devotees, thus engaged in the service of his friend out of his causeless mercy. It is this causeless mercy that he is serving his devotees. He did not hesitate to carry out the order of Arjuna as his charioteer. That does not mean that he's become any less than any of the living entities. The Lord is supreme and he'll always remain supreme. Just because he's driving somebody's chariot doesn't mean he's become something lesser than anyone. Still, his supreme position as Rishikesha, the Lord of senses, was unchallenged. He'll always remain. Krishna will remain Krishna only. So relationship between the Lord and devotee is very sweet and transcendental. There is no false ego, nothing. It's very, very sweet. So what happens when Krishna takes the chariot? This is what happens. Arjuna starts feeling stressed. He's grieving. He feels sad, helpless. Until now, he was very focused, very balanced. He was ready to fight. He knew why he was there. Now we will see his helmet falls, his bow Gandiva is slipping, and he gives 5 reasons why he does not want to fight. all that happens. Do you remember the 5 reasons from your first 18 days course? What are the 5 reasons he gives? Why doesn't he want to fight this war? This battle of Kurukshetra.
Because he
Hare
has
Krishna,
to fight
Mataji.
all with his relatives, and if killing his relatives and friends, it is going to be sin on him, and he will not get any pleasure even if he won the war. That's what he feels, and he cannot do that.
Yes, Mataji, thank you. And there are a few more reasons. Compassion.
Hare
My
Krishna,
family is the
Mataji.
object of my he spoke about compassion and said no enjoyment. If the family is dead and gone, whom should I enjoy the kingdom with? That's what he said. And then sins.
And then he said that once you have a war, the outcome of the war is not going to be anything good for anyone. So one is already you talked about that. What kingdom will he enjoy? Another thing, people will be killed there. So there'll be all ladies would be get polluted, and then unwanted population will take place. So that is going to spoil the society.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you everyone for your participation, actually. So yes, since elders should not even be given a verbal fight, he's saying, how can I pick up my weapons against people like Dronacharya, the elders like Bhishma? How can I do that? He's my grandfather. Dronacharya is my guru. How can I? That is the sin. And he says, and then family traditions, he says, if all the family members are slain, elders in the family, like, all the men in the battlefield, they all pass away. What will happen if they die on the battlefield? Who will guide their children? There will be no traditions followed at their in their family, because these elders actually, guide their youngsters, like offering oblations to the Pitrus. And then, if the men in the family are very important in many ways, they are there for the younger generations. And if they are not there, what will happen? Women in the family also, we won't be protected. They can get corrupted, polluted, and they may give birth to unwanted population. That is Varna Shankara. And what will happen if unwanted population, irreligious people are roaming in the society? We can see that today, right? There's so many people who are very corrupted walking around. So that will bring about devastation of all the community and family projects. And he doesn't want to be a reason for all this. He's saying, why should I spoil the whole population? I don't want to fight. Then unwanted children, again, who are not religious, nothing, they'll flood the human race. There will be war, pestilence, all these things. And in the next chapter, in 2.6, he says, he talks about indecision. He talks about his confusion. Arjuna knows he's a Kshatriya, he has to fight, his duty is to fight. He knows all this, but he's actually undecided. So let's see what happens. Okay. Okay. Why Arjuna asked to move the chariot amidst the armies? Arjuna was forced to fight against his wish because of obstinacy of Duryodhana, anxious to see who are the leading men present with a desire to fight to please Duryodhana. They all must be birds of the same feather. To see how much they were bent upon fighting, to estimate the strength which he had to face, although confident of victory because of Krishna sitting on his side. But he had no intention of peace making at this moment. Some things might look like we are repeating again and again, but as we progress, all this will sink in so much that you can easily attend the quiz, and it will help us for the future chapters. So that's how it is. So 24, verse 24, please recite. Someone recite. Hare Krishna. Sonali Mataji has raised her hand. So yes, Mataji, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Sanjaya uvacha eva mukto ऋषिकेशः गुडाकेशेन भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये स्थापयित्वा रथोत्तमम्. Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharata, having thus been addressed by Arjuna, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties. Hare
Krishna Mataji. So in this verse, the word Gudakesha is very important. Gudaka means sleep, and Gudakesha is someone who has conquered sleep. Sleep means ignorance also. So he's someone, Arjuna has conquered his sleep, conquered his ignorance also because of his friendship with Lord Krishna. What is ignorance? When we forget God, that is ignorance. So a devotee like Arjuna never forgets Krishna. He's constantly thinking about Krishna even in his sleep. That's why he's called Budakesha. He's conquered ignorance. A person in his ignorance will not even have time to think about God, maybe here and there. That's also ignorance is when we forget Krishna. Either in waking sleep state or sleeping state, Krishna is always in Arjuna's consciousness. He's constantly in samadhi. If you learn about Arjuna more and more, you'll understand he's a very elevated devotee. That is why he is with Krishna all the time. He's an eternal associate of Krishna actually. And Rishikesha also is very important. Rishikesha means the Krishna knows everything what is happening in Arjuna's mind because he's a lord of the senses. That's what it means. When he says take the chariot there, Krishna very well knows why Arjuna is asking me to take the chariot there. He knows everything that is happening inside us. As Paramatma is sitting in our heart, right? He knows everything. Sometimes we don't even have to open our mouth and say our desires, everything, what happened in all our previous births, everything he knows. So that's what Rishikesha is the master of our senses. So, and then next verse 25. Hare Krishna. Vijayam, Dr. Vijayam Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Bhishma Drona Pramukataha Sarvesham cha Maheshitam Uvacha Partha Pashetan Samavetan Kurun Iti. In the presence of Bhishma, Drona and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Partha means son of Pritha, Kunti. Kunti Mataji's another name is Pritha. So Partha is Kunti's son. Now Krishna is actually talking now. He just took the chariot in the middle of the army. There was no need to say anything. He would have just kept quiet. But now he knows he's just estimating. But he's saying, look, behold the Kurus. And, he's saying, oh, is this going to stop you from fighting? That's what he means. Joking. They were friends also. So in a joking, friendly way, saying, oh, by looking at all this Kurus, because Arjuna is also from the same family. He belongs to the Kuru dynasty only. Duryodhana's party and Pandavas. They're all blood relatives, right? They're all coming under the same Kuru dynasty. From Kuru was they're one of the ancestors. So now by saying this, look at all the Kurus, that actually hits him, But here he is asking, oh, by looking at all the Kurus, look, behold all of them. Are you going to stop? Is this going to make you stop from fighting? That's what, his joking way is saying that. It's as if, he wants to start Bhagavad Gita here. That's why Krishna is actually creating the situation where Arjuna will go under lamentation and all so that he can start instructing him Bhagavad Gita. That's how it is. So Krishna is actually speaking in this verse 1.25. In verse number 25, Krishna speaks for the first time. He's saying, look, Arjuna, look. So discussion in the purport. Lord as Rishikesha, Lord knows Arjuna's mind and does everything behind being the super soul of all living entities. Not just Arjuna's, he knows about all the living entities because he is situated in the heart of every living entity. He is there in the atom also. So he knows Paramatma is there. So he knows. Now imagine how many millions and millions of living entities are there all over the material creation. He knows about each one of them, their past, their present, everything. So here, Pritha, we discussed this. Let's move on. So Arjuna sees all the relatives assembled on both the sides. So now, let's see who all he saw. Teacher, friends, maternal uncle, brothers, sisters, sons, friends, well-wishers, grandfathers, father and mother. Is noticing all this. There were some names are mentioned in the purport, like there was Bhurishrava, his father's contemporaries, and there was Bhishma, Somadatta, Dronacharya, Kripacharya, and then his uncles were there, Shalya, Shakuni was there, and then there were like sons of Duryodhana, they were there, Lakshmana, and then Ashwathama was there. A lot of well-wishers were there. So after seeing all of them, it's like, all of them will be dead, right? The war happens, what will happen? It's not going to be, it's the biggest war ever, It was not seen to be taken lightly. So when the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus. What did he say? Arjuna's don't say lamentation. Arjuna's symptoms of compassion. This is what happened to him. All his compassion manifested on his body. His limbs started quivering. His mouth was drying up. He thought all these people are going to die now. That hit him so hard. Whole body trembling, hair of the body standing on the end, hands, Gandiva bow slipping, skin burning, legs unable to stand any longer due to impatience, forgetting myself and mind reeling due to weakness of the heart. This is only cause of misfortune. See, a person who is a devotee of the Lord, genuine devotee, his heart is really pure. He has all the good qualities. You can compare them to demigods also. All the godly qualities you will find in such a person. A non-devotee will not be like this. He will not have any godly qualities. He may be materially very advanced, multiple degrees and masters in this and that and PhD and whatnot. Material qualification does not mean they will have good qualities also. That is not going to happen. Non-devotees are never like that. But a devotee of the Lord has all the good qualities. See, Arjuna is overwhelmed with compassion. Compassion for what? For the enemies. He is crying for the soldiers on the other side. So all the soldiers on the other side are going to die. So much compassion he has. He is very qualified to fight. We cannot forget that, because he can single-handedly handle many people. But now he doesn't want to fight because he's feeling very compassionate. See, such symptoms in Arjuna are not because of weakness. We should not mistake he's weak. No, but because of his soft-heartedness. Krishna loves butter, butter. We say, oh, Krishna loves butter. But you can see his devotees' hearts are like butter, very soft. That is because of soft-heartedness. That is the characteristic of a pure, genuine devotee of the Lord. They don't like violence actually. But here we know how Krishna is going to clear his doubts. Then we'll understand that actually Arjuna will get up and fight. So he's going to clear all these doubts. But the reason for compassion is because Arjuna is really a very good person, a great person. Arjuna's symptoms, body trembling. This is also because of material attachment and all that we'll discuss now. These were his symptoms. We just discussed this. All the bodily symptoms are manifest due to. Okay, now all this trembling, all that was happening to him. There are two kinds of trembling, sensations in the body, two kinds of hair standing, on the end. There are two types. One is when a person is in great spiritual ecstasy, which do not cause any fear, rather ecstasy. A person who is in samadhi, who is really in spiritual ecstasy, he will not have any fear. Now, another reason is great fear, material condition. When somebody says, oh, there's something great, there's something very devastating has happened. That fear, in material conditions, you see in conditioned souls, how much fear, you can see that on their face. Great fear. And this can happen, body trembling, hair standing on it, all the skin burning, and that will happen. That is because of great fear. That is material condition. Nothing spiritual about it. So Arjuna's symptoms were due to fear, due to loss of life. He thought, all these people are going to die. That's what was making him like this. Material conception of life. Materialistic conception of life. We are product of matter and we are this material body. Life's ultimate goal is only material pleasures, enjoyment through senses. If this is what a person thinks and this is how he lives, then this is how we will be, fearful. Okay, that's what it means. So Arjuna's symptoms were because of material conception of life, material fear. He became very impatient. So let's see what happens. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I see only causes of misfortune. Oh Krishna, killer of Keshi demon. Arjuna is forgetting himself, he's unable to stand also. This is again, okay, this is because of his he's affected by material conditions. If you are too much attached to material things and material relationships, this is what will happen. A person who is a self-realized person, he can see the difference between matter and spirit. That will understand. All these bewildering conditions, what he's feeling, he's so fearful, he's losing his mental equilibrium, all is because of material condition. He's seeing only painful reverses in the battlefield. He says, oh, what will happen? Nothing good is going to come out of this. This is how we all live, right? Everyone is interested in himself, his own welfare. He's actually showing ignorance here. What is our self-interest? Our self-interest, our goal is Vishnu, satisfying the Lord. Out of frustration, he's saying, that's what happens to people when they're too frustrated with this material life. They'll think, why am I even here? I want to run away from here. That's what is happening to Krishna, Arjuna now. He's saying, because we conditioned souls, we forget that, why are we suffering? Why are we suffering? Because of our ignorance. So this is what he's feeling right now. Now, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory, kingdom, or happiness. We look for happiness in material happiness. Spiritual happiness is eternal, that is, there's so much joy there. Material happiness, we look for happiness in sense gratification. We are attracted by bodily relationships. And then we forget even the cause of material happiness is the Lord only. And now he's even forgotten the moral codes of Kshatriya. Because in the purport, Prabhupada writes, there are two kinds of people who are eligible to go to the sun globe. One is a Kshatriya who dies on the battlefield. Another one is a sannyasi who is in the renounced order of life. Now Arjuna is feeling like Prabhupada gives this analogy. He says, just like when you are really full, your tummy is full, you're not hungry, you don't want to cook, you're not inclined to cook. That's how Arjuna is feeling right now. He doesn't want to fight. It's like just like a person who is not hungry, is not interested in food or cooking. He is not interested. So he thinks there is no happiness. Out of frustration, he's saying, okay, I'm going to the forest. I don't mind. Let me go to the forest, live a secluded life, and I don't want all this. But then a Kshatriya, he needs a kingdom. His nature is of a Kshatriya. There are different natures. We'll understand that also in the future chapters. He's a Kshatriya and he cannot just artificially become a sannyasi. He needs a kingdom to rule. He needs a kingdom to sustain. And then, and right now Arjuna has no kingdom being a Kshatriya. So he has to fight. There is no other option for him. He has to fight his cousins and brothers and everyone and reclaim his kingdom. Arjuna not ready to fight even in exchange of 3 words. So, and he is also saying Govinda, he'll say, oh, Govinda means someone who gives, Govinda means somebody who gives pleasure to the Lord is called Govinda because he gives pleasure for cows and senses. He's saying, oh, Govinda. He's saying, oh, because we want our senses to be pleased, right? Sense gratification. He's saying, oh, Govinda. Oh, you are the you should satisfy my senses. That's how he is actually asking. But that's not what it means. Govinda means if we satisfy the Lord, we are automatically happy. That's how it is. It is not the other way. You satisfy, you supply satisfaction to me. Oh, Govinda. That's not what it means. Govinda means we have to satisfy the senses of Govinda without desiring to satisfy our own senses. Then automatically our senses will get satisfied. That is the real meaning of Govinda. Prabhupada explains this very nicely. He's saying, even, I don't want, in exchange of 3 words also, I don't want. So, this is what he's saying. Typical calculation of material life. But, devotees of the Lord are not like that. A pure devotee of the Lord, he will do whatever the Lord wishes. Okay, so let's go on. Sin will overcome us if we slay such aggressors. Therefore, it is not proper for us to kill the sons of Dhritarashtra and our friends. What should we gain, O Krishna, husband of the goddess of fortune? He's calling him different names. Keshi demon, Krishna killed Keshi demon, so he called him Keshava. He's saying, he's indirectly saying, why don't you only do it? That's what he meant in one of the previous verses. Now he's calling him Madhava. He's saying husband of the goddess of fortune. That means he's he can't bring any inauspiciousness. That's what he means by calling him that. And how could we be happy by killing our own kinsmen? So see, actually a person in power has to be saintly. like Lord Ram, he was very saintly, but he was not a coward. When Ravana took Sita and went, we know that first time very well from Ramayana. What happened? He did not show any mercy, right? He went and killed Ravana and brought Sita back from Ravana, who had kidnapped Sita. So he was saintly but not cowardly. That's how a king is supposed to be. But here the problem is Ravana was Ravana, Lord Ram was Lord Ram. Here the enemy is his own grandfather. The other side, people on the other side are his own blood relatives. Ravana was not related to Ram that way, right? That's what here the problem is. He thinks, oh, they're all my relatives, my grandfather, my teacher, my friends, all my sons and grandsons. How can I? Let me forgive them only. This is not nice. Let me forgive them. All temporary bodily happiness is looking for temporary bodily happiness. Krishna wants him to do something eternal. And Arjuna is talking about bodily happiness. So Arjuna fearful of sinful reactions. Okay, now there are 6 kinds of aggressors who need to be punished. They can be killed at once by Kshatriya. Okay, no sins will occur they won't incur any sins if they actually kill these 6 kind of aggressors. So who are those 6 kind of aggressors who really need to be punished? No mercy should be shown. Says poison giver, one who sets fire to the house, one who attacks with deadly weapons, one who plunders riches, one who occupies another person's land, one who kidnaps another's wife, can be killed as a punishment. Then there won't be any sin. This has to be done by the authority, actually. There won't be any sins. So Kauravas did all 6 kinds of aggressions on the Pandavas, and killing them would not give any sinful reactions. They have given poison, they set fire to their house. Duryodhana wanted to kill Bhima by giving him poison. So all this we know. They have plundered their land, he's not ready to share. And then all this has happened, and Draupadi was insulted. So they should not be showing any lenience, actually. So Arjuna, that would ultimately bring about Arjuna calling Krishna as Madhava, indicating that Krishna should not engage Arjuna, that would ultimately bring about misfortune. Krishna, however, never brings misfortune to anyone, to say nothing of his devotees. Krishna, you say something to him, Krishna may tolerate something on his own accord, anything. The sun never becomes dirty, they say, right? We can say anything, but the sun rays will always purify. Sun will not become dirty if the sun rays fall on a dirty place. The Lord is all pure. He's not going to take offense. But if anyone is troubling his devotees, is not going to be forgiving them. He'll never forgive such people. Nobody trouble my devotees. That is just like a parent, very protective of his child. Just like that, Lord is very protective of his devotees. He will forgive, so he will never bring any misfortune to anyone, not what to say about his devotees. So, okay. Oh Janardana, although these men, their hearts overtaken by greed, saying these people are all greedy. See no fault in killing one's family. They are ready to fight or quarreling with friends. Why should we? We can see the crime in destroying a family, engage in these acts of sin. He's saying, okay, they are greedy. They want to fight. But we have better sense. Why should we fight? See, when a Kshatriya is challenged, he's invited by rivals, he's not supposed to refuse to fight or gamble. If somebody is challenged, they come gamble with me, come fight. Kshatriyas should be ready to accept the challenge. Here, Arjuna is actually being challenged by Duryodhana and party. So he's obligated to fight. There is no question of refusing. And then he's saying only evil consequences. So he's not ready to accept the challenge. He's actually considering pros and cons. He's thinking, okay, what should I do? What will happen if I do this? How much he's thinking. He's not like, I want revenge. I'm angry, that's why I'll fight. That's not even in his consciousness. He's just considering everything. And he's deciding, okay, let me not fight. Not nice, let me not fight. With the destruction of the dynasty, the eternal family traditions vanquished, and thus the rest of the family becomes involved in irreligion. So in Varnashrama institution, the Sanatan Dharma, it is meant for spiritual salvation of all the family members. So everybody is supposed to follow these religious traditions, especially those who are into fruitive activities. They follow all this, offering oblations to Pitrus and all this. So there are a lot of purificatory ceremonies. So elders are responsible. They guide the youngsters to perform all the purifying processes right from birth. It starts before birth also. They have this Garbhadharana Sanskara, then baby is born, then there are so many things, right? They do Punya Karma, and then Upakarma is there, and then the hair offering, naming ceremony. There's so many things. Marriage is there, that is also a ritual. So there are so many things. The elders are guiding in all this, right? From birth till death. Even at the time of death, there are some rituals followed. So all these are purifying processes that a person follows in Varnashrama Dharma. Now, if all these elders are dead, what will happen? Family tradition of purification will stop. Will may stop. So the younger generation will, without any guidance, they will develop irreligious habits, and there is no spiritual salvation. Where is spirituality there? That's what he's saying. Okay, Arjuna sees destruction of family. This is just a summary of it. We'll just quickly go over it. Arjuna says, due to greed, the opposite party is ready to fight and kill each other. Arjuna understands result of war, destruction of family. He sees not benefits in participating in this sinful activity. Kshatriya should not refuse invitation of gambling and war. They know about the gambling match also that happened between them. Arjuna sees the other party is blind of effect of this challenge. He thinks, those people don't know what they're doing. He, knowing the evil consequence, is not ready to fight. Destruction of dynasty, what will happen? Family tradition vanquished, family involved in irreligion. Varnashrama systems, elder members of the family are responsible for purifying processes in family from birth to death. Death of elders will stop purification process. Young members will become irreligious, lose chance for spiritual salvation. He's thinking so far ahead, actually. He's not just thinking about, let me get my kingdom and walk away. He is so kind. But we'll know what Krishna will tell him now. What is his duty and what he's supposed to do. We'll understand. So when irreligion is prominent in the family, O Krishna, the women of the family become polluted. And from the degradation of womanhood, O descendant of Vrishni, comes unwanted progeny. So there is one interesting question. What does good population in human society depend on? Hare Krishna. This point is in the purport. If you read the purport of 1.40 and other verses in chapter 1, what does good population in human society depend on? What do you think it depends on? If you want the population to be good.
If dharma prevails, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. And thank you, Prabhuji. How about others? Others also please say something. If you want good population in human society.
Women of the house is much more responsible, I guess, to give sanskara and all.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Prabhupada what he writes, he says good population in the society depends on the chastity and faithfulness of its womanhood. That is why women should be engaged in religious practices. If they're religious, what will happen? They will not be misled into adultery. And then just like children are very prone to be misled. It's very easy. Children are very innocent and very soft-hearted, very, it's very easy to lure them. Just like that, women are also very prone to degradation. Prabhupada writes. That is why they require protection from the elders in the family. So if the women are religious, they're engaged in religious practices, automatically there will be good population. So if there is good population, who is eligible for participating in Varnashrama system, there will be peace in the society. And if the Varnashrama Dharma fails, women will naturally become free to act. They will become, if they are religious, they themselves are not chaste, what will happen? They'll mix with all kind of men, and then there will be adultery, unwanted population, and then that will ruin the whole society. There is no peace. All unwanted children flooding the human race. there'll be war, pestilence, all kind of problems. So that is what he's saying. Okay, an increase of unwanted population certainly causes hellish life both for the family and for those who destroy the family tradition. The ancestors of such corrupt families fall down, not just the living population. Here he's talking about the ancestors who have given up their bodies and are waiting to get another body. Death is just like a sleep. We become inert. We sleep. We don't know what's happening for 7 months. And then after that, we wake up in another body. It's just, we become inert for that moment. That's all. For some time, wake up in another body, like a sleep, get up. And then once we wake up in another body, we forget what happened in our previous body. Who were our relatives? Where was I? What happened? Everything we forget. It is like rebirth, right? So the ancestors of such corrupt families fall down. The person who has left the body, or if they are not offering oblations to the Pitrus, what will happen is saying, because the performances for offering them food and water are entirely stopped. So people who are engaged in fruitive activities, they're not in devotional service, they must follow the rules and regulations mentioned in the Vedic literatures for fruitive activities. They need to offer food and water to forefathers. They have to follow some ceremony and all that. But devotees of the Lord, they don't have to do all that. That is another story, because they are already taken shelter of the Lord. Devotional service, a person who pure devotee can deliver not just himself, but his family, entire family, previous generation also, next generation, coming generations also. They are also blessed by him, because since he is a pure devotee of the Lord, his children also get the benefit and his forefathers also get the benefit. Just like Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad actually got his father liberation. When Narasimhadeva asked him, what do you want, son? I want to give you something. Let me mute, sorry. I'll just mute. Okay. Then Prahlad said, please forgive my father. His father was trying to poison him every day, like kill him every day. He threw him among snakes. He threw him from a cliff. He fed him poison. He put him in fire. Holika Dahan, we know Holika. All this he did. But when Narasimhadev asked Prahlad, what exactly you want? Ask me for something. He said, I'm not doing any business. Your love for God should be like that. You give me something, give me something. That's not how true love is. Like, what can I do for you, Lord? I want to serve you. Make me your instrument. Can I do something in this entire creation of yours? Use me in your service. No, that is the prayer of a pure devotee. It is like that. So a pure devotee can actually deliver hundreds and thousands of forefathers also. But people in this conditioned life, they have to follow some rules. And if nobody is offering all this food and water and all this ceremony and all, Pitrus, the Pitrus, they also have to suffer, because the food is offered as a prasadam to them. It's actually done for Vishnu. And when the forefathers are offered that, they actually, their chances of getting liberation is more. They can actually get a human body, or that will benefit them, because some of them, because of their own sins, they might be actually in a very bad state. They might have become ghosts, or probably they don't even have a body yet. They're just waiting. When children are doing all this, they also benefit. Lord's mercy will reach them, and they can progress to better conditions. So that's why all this is very important. Degradation of society, the superiors are killed, destruction of the dynasty, destruction of eternal family tradition, Vedic rituals will stop, which should not happen. That's what he's saying. Irreligion predominates in the family, women become polluted, unchaste, unwanted progeny, Varna Shankara. This is like our present society, we see, right? Sanatan Dharma, we talk about it. We can see our society, there's so much problems, so many things happening. All kinds of community projects and family welfare activities are devastated, result in chaos in society. If the leader is not supporting, the Sanatan Dharma, what will happen? What will happen is like a blind person. He's blind himself, and whoever follows him also becomes blind. A blind man following another blind man. So irresponsible leaders cause a lot of chaos in the society. So human life is meant for spiritual salvation, but we should not, that is why we should not waste. human life. So Prabhupada explains this very nicely in the purports also. So this is another summary, and we have a few more slides to go. We'll finish it off. Arjuna sees destruction of family society, Varnashrama system for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. This system is meant for peace, prosperity, and spiritual progress in life. Everybody can benefit from this system. Again, okay. Would somebody read this, please? It's just a summary for us to just again go over it quickly. Then we will. Does somebody want to read? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Preksha Mataji, yes Mataji.
Failure of Varnashrama system. Elder members of the family responsible for purifying processes in family from birth to death leads to death of elder will stop purification process. Young members will become irreligious. Lose chance for spiritual salvation. Women like children need protection, which has good population depends on faithfulness and chastity of women. Or when irreligion prominent in family, women become polluted, gives rise to unwanted progeny, Varna Shankara. Risk of war and pestilence. Irresponsible leader bring chaos in society by destroying Sanatana Dharma. And it also leads to hellish condition in family and who destroyed family tradition. Also, ancestors are not delivered or fall down.
Okay, Mataji, thank you so much. So let's go ahead. O Krishna, maintainer of the people, Janardana, I have heard by disciplic succession that those whose family traditions are destroyed dwell always in hell. One more thing we should remember is how he communicates. Arjuna's, the language, the way they communicate. Krishna is just hearing right now. He's just hearing him. Let him, he's like giving him a chance to talk. Okay, you talk. He's a perfect teacher. He gives the student time to, express himself. He's calling him. He's saying, I have heard by disciplic succession. This is a translation of 1.43. He's not saying, people usually talk like that. From my experience. That's how they talk, right? My own personal experience. Who are we? How great are we? My personal, I'm such a great person. My personal experience, as if that's the standard. That's how we talk. But actually, he's saying, I've heard from great authorities who are perfect, That is how we must receive knowledge from someone who has perfect knowledge. We cannot say, I know my per experience, we are very insignificant. So Arjuna says he has heard from authorities. So he's basing all his argument not on his own personal mental thing. He's saying, this is how the right experts also say. So we have to always approach the right person when we need advice, because that person, somebody has complete knowledge, who is already established in knowledge. So this system of Varnashrama institution will, another thing is, you see this hellish conditions they are showing here. By all these purificatory ceremonies, what we go through, we have a chance for atonement, prayaschitta, because we are committing a lot of sins without our knowledge, or knowingly or unknowingly, we are committing a lot of sins every day. But this Varnashrama institution actually gives us a chance for atonement, prayaschitta. If somebody is not doing that, he will incur so many sins. He will go to hell and suffer like this. So hellish planets are there, actually, and we'll learn in one of the chapters how difficult life is over there. It is like the body. See, our body is, if you put your finger in the fire, the finger will melt. It's a material body. When we see that burns, we can feel what happening. But here, what happens is, in the hellish planets, where actually punishment is going on, it seems the body is not a material body. So it's a temporary body given to us so that a person who has committed sin can suffer. If he's dipped in hot oil, he can feel the pain, but body will not melt away. So the pain he has to tolerate, because he would have committed some sins. For that, he's actually going through that punishment. But the pain is horrible. So it's there in Bhagavatam. One of the canto, that explanation is there. It's very painful. So he's saying, so Varnashrama system is also providing us chances for, atonement and all that. Imagine that if the elders are not there, youngsters don't get a chance to do Payashit also. They will be transferred to hellish planets, where they undergo miserable lives because of their sinful activities. A person who is irreligious will automatically commit sins. A devotee will not, because the process itself is so purifying for him, chanting, hearing the Lord's pastimes. It seems even if you know the pastime, you hear it 100 times. At the end of, in Krishna book, if you read Krishna book, at the end of every pastime, in the end, it is mentioned, by hearing this pastime, this is the benefit. It will tell, just hearing Lord's name, chanting his name, purifies us, purifies our tongue, purifies our heart. So it is very powerful. Krishna and his name, they are not separate. For us, it's like we have a name today, tomorrow we can go and change our name. That's not how it is. For Krishna, Krishna is Krishna only. There's no difference between he and his name. So that's how it is for devotees. But a person who is following all these fruitive activities, if he doesn't do prayaschitta, what will happen? It's a very dangerous situation. He's saying that. Alas, how strange it is that we are preparing to commit greatly sinful acts. Driven by desire to enjoy royal happiness, we are intent on killing our own kinsmen. The people are killing, right? We see there's so many murders happening in the society. They say, this is my house. I'm not going to share this. I don't want to give this. I want this. I want a bigger share. For selfish motives, people are killing each other, killing their own siblings, and there are people who have gone so mad that they kill their own family, father, mother, everyone, just so that they can inherit the property or get something. It's all happening because of ignorance. But here he's saying, how can we do that? Arjuna is very saintly. He's trying to be he's a saintly devotee of the Lord, and he's saying he's very conscious of all these moral principles. So he's saying, let us avoid fighting. Okay. In one of the verse, he says, we do not know, he's including Krishna also. He says, we do not know what we should do. There is one verse like that. So whether we should do this or this, we uses the term we. Better for me if the sons of Dhritarashtra, weapons in hand, were to kill me unarmed and unresisting on the battlefield. See, for a Kshatriya cannot kill another person who is unarmed. If he is not willing to fight, he should not be attacked. That is the rule. But here Arjuna is saying, okay, fine, let them come and kill me. Or let them get their weapons and kill me. I will not resist. I will die. But actually he's saying, okay, if I die and everybody lives, I'll be happy. That is what he's saying. But that whatever he's saying, the other people, they are bent upon fighting. They're ready to kill. He's because of his soft-heartedness, he's talking like this. So let's go on. Sanjaya now says, this is the last verse. Arjuna, having thus spoken on the battlefield, cast aside his bow, saying, let them come and kill me with all their weapons. I'm not ready to fight. Cast aside his bow and arrows and sat down on the chariot, his mind overwhelmed with grief. He's crying. You can see tears in one of the slides, right? Arjuna's eyes. Okay. See, such a great, strong person because of his soft-heartedness, the tears in his eyes. He's afflicted with lamentation. He sits down. And actually, a person who has a soft heart, who is so kind-hearted, is fit to receive the knowledge of knowledge. This knowledge, receive self-knowledge. Prabhupada writes this in the purport. He is very fit to receive this self-knowledge. So, summary. Arjuna's reasons not to fight: compassion, enjoyment, distract family, saintliness, and fear of sinful reactions, indecision. Would somebody like to read this slide, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Summary: Arjuna's reasons for not wishing to fight. 1.27 to 1.28. Compassion. Arjuna's compassion for those he is about to slay dictate he shouldn't fight. 1.31 to 1.35 and 2.7 to 2.8. Enjoyment. Arjuna thinks he will not be able to enjoy his kingdom if the kingdom is won at the cost of the lives of his family members. 1.37 to 1.43. Destruction of family. It really,
37.
yeah, 1.37.
You can actually say
37.
37. Actually, in maths, yes, in maths we
Okay.
read like that, right? 1.31. But actually, it's verse 31
Okay,
to 35. So,
yeah, sorry, 1.37 to 1.37 to 1.43.
37.
Destruction of family. Irreligion and unwanted progeny will overcome the family. Performance of traditional varnashrama oriented Vedic rituals will end, and hell will await both the family and the destroyer of the family. 1.44 to 1.45 and 2.5. Saintliness and fear of sinful reactions. Arjuna thinks enjoying royal happiness is not worth the resulting sinful reactions for destroying the family and killing his superiors. 2.6. Indecision. Arjuna does not actually know which is better, conquering the enemy or being conquered by them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Mataji. That was a summary. And here, see, these are the, you will find these reasons in these verses. Compassion, enjoyment in these, he's talking about these reasons in these verses. Sinful reactions, destruction of dynasty, indecision. Now, you see how he looks. He's actually lamenting. Which can you relate to? This question was in 18 days course. Okay, let's move on. So, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Dhritarashtra's inquiry was the first verse. Kim Akurvita Sanjaya is asking. Duryodhana's fear. Then blowing of conscience. Then Arjuna's observation. Arjuna's reasons not to fight. Now we will see in the next chapter how Lord Krishna will inspire Arjuna to fight. He will tell him, get up and fight. So we'll see how he inspires him to fight and how he actually, how their discussion, their, how they converse. So Arjuna is actually going to surrender to Krishna and accept him as his teacher, spiritual master. And we'll see all that in the next chapter. It's very beautiful, very lengthy chapter. So let's stop this live stream.